Back again. Back again. Can you believe it? Another day of a Sam workout. Guess what? Out of all things, I do not think these days are particularly numbered. In the sense that there really is not a question that I'm going to work out today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the day after that and the fucking 100 days after that and beyond. And part of that is just the fact that I love working out and it's fun for me. But also it's kind of a pattern thing, you know? If you wake up every day, you go about your day like normal, and then you come home, the odds that you're going to do that again, they're incredibly high. You're fucking gonna. So that's where, to someone who's not inclined to do a lot of hard training, for someone like me, weightlifting, but it could be anything, you know, whatever your shit is, to go from basically no activity like that to a day of really solid fucking badass exertion, it can feel like a lot. So you have to kind of train your mind in a way, and definitely learn to police your own thoughts. To kind of, I mean, I'm not lying, I'm not exaggerating when I say you got to kind of toughen up your own fucking mind, you know, because if you're the type of guy where when you think about a 2 hour long workout, or if one of your buddies really pushes himself on legs and he's going to take you with him for a leg day, if you're the type of guy who sees that and he's like seriously intimidated, he's like, oh man, that's going to be hard. Or not even intimidated, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're the type of guy to be like, I don't want to do that. Oh, it's going to be hard. Oh my goodness. Even if you still do it, to have already had that mindset and that mentality and that sort of those thoughts really pop up in your head and you keep replaying them the whole time, you're just not going to have a good fucking workout, you know? Because you don't stand behind what you're doing. When I'm in the gym and I see guys, or I'm talking to whoever, it's not super often, but there are a few guys that I've seen in my gyms before where they have absolutely nothing to talk about except for complaints. Oh, dude, I'm fucking dying today, man. I'm so fucking tired. Verbatim, he's going, yeah, I don't want to be here right now. So, it, then why are you here, right? If you're already in the gym, you should try your damnedest to make yourself as excited about it as possible. Because, for one thing, that's going to give you a better workout on that day. And that's setting yourself up to actually be able to keep doing it day after day after day and really get the progress that you want. So, and that comes with time. That comes with time for sure. You know, especially not so much, honestly, pretty much never now. But if I've got a really long leg day and I'm like particularly tired, maybe a little bit sick, I might get a little bit of a thought developing like, oh crap, I've got a lot of working out left. Fuck. But do not feed into that kind of thought. You know, if that sort of thought pops into your mind, if you know you've got 3 sets of squats left, or you've got some leg extensions left, or RDLs, or hamstring curls, or bench, even if that thought arises, like, oh crap, this is going to be hard, squash that immediately and say, all right, this is going to be hard. Come on. You know, amp yourself up in a way. And it's easier said than done. You know, it's easier said than done. And there is a learning curve and kind of a period of time where you don't really get to think like that. You know, to go from zero grinding to fucking 100% pedal to the mill grinding, there's a period of time where it's just kind of, it's going to be a bit uncomfortable for a while. No matter how hyped up you can get, it is hard because it's harder than what you're used to doing. But the longer that you can work out consistently, the easier that it's going to become. You know, I'm talking that last episode of BoJack Horseman with that monkey. I forget the kind of bonobo. Close enough, but he's like, oh, it gets easier. Right? The more you do it, you get the idea, right? And that cannot be truer. You know, just as a little bit of an example, I meant to talk about this last leg day, the video yesterday, where I'm doing like fucking, you know, over 500-pound Smith machine squats. It's kind of become second nature to me at this point. Like, when I first started really getting into heavy squats, just as one specific example, I would be nervous for days before. If I was going to put upwards of like 500 pounds or more on my back and I had to squat it for reps, I'd be thinking about it days before because it would make me so anxious. I'd be sitting there in front of the fucking rack. I'm already warmed up. I'm getting ready to hit this set. I'm listening to whatever music I'm listening to, and I'm sitting there like in the 20 seconds before I really stood up to hit the set, my heart rate would like fucking double. But after having done it for so long now, I kind of almost want to chase that excitement because I don't, it's a little bit harder to get for me because I know that I'm capable of doing it and all I have to do is exert myself. So the longer that you do it, the easier that it becomes. And eventually, I think that's a very good end state. Honestly, that might be the end state to any endeavor to make serious progress in. You want to be someone who can practice without striving. And what I mean by that is you want to be the person who can work hard and make it look easy. Right? The guy who can come in every day and work hard, he makes it look easy because he's not struggling. He's not complaining. He's just pushing it because he knows he wants to, you know? So that's kind of what I mean, honestly, that's something I've kind of strived to attain a little bit because the easier that it is for you to do crazy hard sets as hard as you can, it's just going to make your workouts more enjoyable. But I can't stress enough that that is something that's going to come with time. So if you still feel like you're in the early bird stages of your working out, and you can apply this to whatever. I'm a fucking, gym nut, so that's pretty much all I talk about in these. But in those first few months that you're doing it, yeah, it might be a little tricky, man. It's going to take you a while. You don't necessarily have the results that you're working towards yet to hype you up. But in the process of going through these early days, these these ground floor bricklaying days, you're setting yourself up for some serious success in the future, right? No fucking skyscraper was built on sand, right? It's all about that solid foundation early on. But enough random generic motivational quotes and analogies. Let's actually lift some fucking steel. Plan for chest is pressing as heavy as I feel comfortable with, followed by some fly-based movements, some cable pressing-based movements, potentially a little bit of chest accessory work with the dumbbells, maybe even a little bit of dips. It's been a long time since I've thrown some dips in. I guess let's just find out. Why try to spoil it when we can actually see what the workout's going to be like in about 3 seconds? So let's actually we'll cut to the warm-up. I get a bad habit of skipping that. So let's get over there. There we go. Yeah, so pre-pressing, before I do my actual warm-up sets of like incline, chest day always starts off with the cables. And if for whatever reason I didn't have access to cables, I'd just be doing the same thing with the dumbbells. But you got to think about this. Well, let me just explain. The act of doing a bench, be it incline fucking dumbbell, barbell, machine press, Smith machine, whatever. You got a lot of moving fucking parts going on. My triceps are firing. No matter how good I am at isolating my chest, I can't really get around that. My shoulders are going crazy. I'm working my chest too. My rotator cuffs are getting seriously, I wouldn't even say directly activated. They just have so much fucking force being pushed through them that they're definitely in more of a, let's just say a riskier state. So before I move over to what I am guessing is going to be the incline barbell bench for the first heavy working sets, I'm going to sit in these cables and make sure that everything is moving around well. And I usually do kind of just this sort of 3-piece sort of movement. Push downs, those face pulls, and then these kind of single arm chest presses just to kind of start to warm my chest up. And don't be fooled. I'm not doing any work. I'm not actually doing any hard working sets. I'm not even 1% of the way to failure with these. But what I am doing, getting some activation, going through the process of fucking flexing and doing full reps, it is going to make me feel better by the time that I move on to like incline barbell or whatever else. And this also serves as a really good indicator of, am I hurt? If my shoulder is fucked up in the process of doing this warm up, I'm going to notice. So before a fucking airplane takes off, right, the crew is going to do their checks. I'm not going to do 3-plate bench if I feel like my shoulder's a little bit tweaked. I'm not going to do a however many plate machine press if I feel like my elbows are really tender, So I've probably had the most tweaks in my shoulders and chest and everything on my chest days. So this is the day that I take the most time and energy into actually warming up. For something like back, all I have to do is sit here and like do some pull downs, and then I can move on to like machine rows and gradually work up in weight. But with chest, this is a solid 10 minutes before anything really gets started. At least as long as I've got time. If I've got to do kind of a rush job for chest, I might just start with more of a squeezing set so I don't have to worry about hurting myself. So I've definitely noticed over the last few, years. If you've been a long time watcher, like I'm talking a year ago or so, I definitely have hurt my shoulders before. But ever since I started doing this, I haven't had a crunchy shoulder for many months. And hopefully I don't in the future either. But let's move on to, I would imagine 1 plate on the incline barbell. But I'm gonna warm up for a bit longer. Okay, here, grab it. Pull it, just like pull it. Yeah, one more. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. 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 Beautiful. Yeah, that's good. That one was really going heavy. Kind of some half bent over, half standing cable press ought to be pretty much fucking perfect. One thing I will say though, whenever you do kind of really heavy loading movements like this, be it a fly or a press, is if you're going heavy enough, if I were to try to wrench this weight into position, it's probably gonna fucking hurt my forearms. So instead I kind of load one arm at a time, so I'm never in a real like hingy kind of situation. There we go. Yeah. 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 Okay. One more. Yeah. 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 Okay. Let's make a drop set. Yeah. 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 One more. Yeah. 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 Okay. Oh. Let's move on now. After those 4 sets, plus the fact that I'm low on carbs, the stack actually feels heavy. I'm not complaining. It's sweet. So this will be kind of a heavy, nasty set for the first one. But the next one I'll probably switch, do like even half the weight of this and do more of a slower squeezing kind of burnout set. I think doing both, I mean, apart from the fact that it probably does have better muscle stimulation properties to do a variety of different kinds of sets, I just know that it feels good. To counter a really heavy, nasty set like I'm about to do with a lighter squeezing set afterwards, I mean, let's say regardless of feel, I know I'm going to be pumped as shit. And that's my fucking #1 priority for the most part. Keep getting the weirdest songs. Okay, I lied. Let's make that a drop set. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh. One more, I think. I'm not typically one to do any decline pressing, but honestly, I think I've got kind of a closed mind when it comes to chest pressing. Okay, sure, this hammer strength decline press, this is more of a, well, it's a decline, a lot of lower pecs. But that doesn't mean I'm not working my mid pecs, and I still feel my fucking upper chest flexing. As much as you can isolate the chest, you're also kind of flexing the whole fucking thing as long as you're doing a step where you squeeze hard. You know, you're not going to catch me doing a ton of decline work, but a little, I know it's going to give me a solid fucking pump throughout my whole chest. So I might just do 1 set here, but this is a machine which I just kind of felt the itch to do today. Not crazy weight either. And a little lower. No. Yeah. 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 Let's take a few seconds to make it a rest pause set. Okay. Oh. Whew. Let's finish with cables, I think. Only 1 or 2 more sets left. I think let's just finish with a basic ass drop set. Well, not that basic. Drop / superset. So, for me at least, cable flies, it's really hard to beat shoulder height, wide. You're standing right in the middle of the 2 cables. Because then you just get a crazy amount of tension, the fucking flex position. It's a little lighter in the stretch. That's kind of the strength curve I like for flies. So I'll sit here with pretty heavy weight, like 10, probably only 8-ish good reps and some partials. And then drop the weight by half, bend over a little, and then finish with some more kind of declined flies. I kind of like to contrast the regular flies with these big decline ones at the end of the lift, light declined, just because, I mean, it fucking just completely pumps me up. So a good hard set, right? Fucking muscular activation. I'm doing hard work with these heavy first portions. Drop the weight, and all I'm trying to do is squeeze as hard as I fucking can. Stretch my whole chest, come back down. I'm a fan. But let's get started. There we go. Yeah. Good. Okay. Let's drop this a few notches. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's go pose down and discuss. All right. Oh, there we go. Had to turn on the extra veins, striations, and pump filter. Nah, I'm just kidding. Come on. But if you're a photography nerd, I'm using a 1/4 mist filter on this video. Do you notice anything different? Is it good? Is it worse? I mean, I'll find out in post when I really look at it, but let's not get into the details. Let's see how incline, cable, pec fly, machine press, cables. Let's see how that 7-set workout resulted pump-wise. Oh, which I have no reason to doubt is fucking. Oh, well, now it's not even a question. Oh my goodness. So let's run through some classics here. Maybe a little, just a touch of a zoom. I am kind of in the middle of things. This isn't really a baller move, but my real posing room is kind of taken. You got to do what you got to do. Oh, oh my gosh. Okay, one more most muscular. Oh. Yeah, there's not really much need to get any leaner than this. Honestly, that's not much. But I think another week of cutting down, just a little bit more freak factor, and then you can really start piling on the calories. Let's do one more vacuum before we get out of here. Oh, let's fucking bounce. So far, whoops. So far this diet, that first month, I was really only eating about, I mean, I had some, I was, let's say this, I was easing into the diet. You know, I'm talking, I would have a 4,000 calorie day every couple, you know, maybe a week or so for those first few months, or first few weeks. And then it was kind of averaging out to about 3,000. No, this last 2 weeks ish or so, I've been really locking it in at about 2,500 calories, and which, you know, not 100% clean either. Right? If I've got 2,500 calories to work with, I'm not just gonna eat chicken, rice, broccoli, you know, fish. I'm not just gonna eat like perfectly clean and strict. I'm gonna have some treats too. You know, I'll have a couple gummy worms off the fucking kitchen counter that my mom bought, or I'll have a fucking popsicle, uh, or like a little almond joy out of the cupboard. But that's within the realm of like, okay, I've only got so many fucking calories for the whole day. Like, I've only got 250 grams of carbs, like 70 of fat, 250 of protein ish. I think that adds up. So I've only got so many. But if I want to use a few of those towards treats, that's what I'm gonna do, man. You know, I got a sweet tooth. The problem is that sweets don't make you feel full. Sugar intake, calorie dense foods, Reese's cups, you know, fucking a tub of ice cream, anything fast food related to like like hamburgers or fucking chicken sandwiches or anything like that. For the amount of food that you're actually eating, like in terms of how full it makes you feel, it's not really a good deal. You know, it's kind of a rip-off in a way, because I could eat 2,500 calories of ice cream right now, and only two little pint-sized tubs of Ben and Jerry's could add up to 2,500 calories, and it could disappear in the next 10 minutes. That's the amount of food that I get to eat all fucking day. So you gotta kind of be careful, right? The majority of my calories are coming from, you know, I'm talking, I love the instant oatmeal, even the flavored one that has a little bit more sugar in them. 25 calorie or 25 grams of carbs a pack, basically. I like two of those at a time, quick 200 calories. Does make you feel full for longer, because when you eat lower glycemic index carbs, right? Look it up on the glycemic, just look it up. Glycemic index chart, and it'll pretty much show you like things like oats, grains, fucking quinoas, you know, shit like that, where you typically think of as a healthy carb. I wouldn't necessarily say it's healthier per se, as like an overarching statement, but it is going to have less of an abrupt impact on your blood sugar and has more of a lengthy energy release. So what that means is if I eat 50 grams of carbs of oatmeal in the morning, or as my first meal, along with some protein or whatever, I'm not really going to feel immediately hungry in an hour, because that 50 grams of carbs is still in my system. It takes a while to get broken down. It's constantly releasing some fucking blood sugar into my, well, some sugar in my blood. You know, it's making me feel satiated and full. So I don't feel like I want to eat anymore. Whereas if I had two toaster strudels with the fucking icing on top, which could total to 50 grams of carbs, the same amount as the oatmeal, I'm going to be full much quicker, and it's probably going to fucking crash my blood sugar for a minute. Because anytime that you're eating well, and by well I mean eating only like low glycemic index foods, it makes you rather sensitive to, basically sugar spikes, you know? So whenever I diet down, I don't really make it a point to eat a ton of sugars all at once because what's going to happen is this is my blood sugar, right? It should be floating around 100, more like when you're fed, like during the daytime, 100, I forget the unit. I don't think it's nanograms per deciliter. Whatever. It's a measurement of how much sugar is floating around your blood. When you're fed and you're eating food, you can get a little tester where it like pricks you. That's more of a thing for like diabetics. But you should be around 100. So when you're eating oatmeals and like regular foods and breads and sandwiches, no sweets, it might get up to like 180 right after you eat, but it's going to kind of stabilize, stay around there. What's going to happen though is when you have a ton of sweets, your blood sugar is immediately going to spike extra high really quickly. And then once you kind of once your body reacts to that with an insulin spike to accommodate that quick acting carb, once it's all kind of used up, you're going to have a crash. That's why people talk about having like a sugar crash. It's not necessarily that you get a crazy amount of energy from eating sweets, right? We all think of everybody sort of a sugar rush. Not really the case. Now, would I recommend having some fast digesting carbs before a workout for the potential energy benefits? I probably would. So if you want to have a treat in your dieting, right before your workout is honestly the perfect time. But it's not so much that you get a massive like spike in energy from eating sugars. It's really that once you've kind of had them sort of go through your system, your blood sugar fucking crashes, and that's what gives you that lethargic, tired sort of sensation. That's why anybody that goes carnivore or keto, they're always talking about how like, oh dude, my fucking energy levels are so stable, man. This is sick. Or like when anybody does, I think they call it bulletproof coffee. It's where you add like 2 tablespoons, 20 grams of fat worth of butter to your coffee, so you have kind of a constant energy release from the fats that you just drank in the morning, combined with the caffeine. Those two things kind of go hand in hand a little bit. But basically, what happens is they say, "Oh, my energy levels are so fucking stable." It's really just because their blood sugar isn't bouncing around like fucking crazy. So when I'm bulked up and I'm eating a lot of food, I'm not so concerned with getting a reasonable sugar intake. I'm talking even hundreds of grams per day. Not like 500, but like 200 grams coming from sweets. I don't get too fat, so it seems to be working. But I'm not so concerned about it because I've constantly got fucking carbs flowing through my system. I'm always going to have like moderate blood sugar. It's never going to crash. So when you're bulking up, I think that's when sweets isn't a huge problem. As long as you're bulking reasonably correctly, you're gaining weight steadily, you're not getting too much body fat on your system, and you're training hard, and you're doing your cardio, which I know that you're not doing. But I don't want to be mean to you. I know some of you guys get a little bit upset when I call you out for that. But when you're dieting down, yes, sweets, man, it's just not. It really isn't in your best interest, because if all you're eating is foods which are a bit more on the, let's say, lower blood sugar impacting side of things, oatmeals, really, like sweet potatoes, whatever else, shit that isn't just gonna launch your blood sugar to the roof. It's gonna make you feel full for longer. And then you couple that with some more like high fiber keto bread or tortillas or tons of vegetables. I mean, I love making little turkey sandwiches with low fat mayonnaise, keto bread, and then I put a fucking ton of lettuce on them. Not for the sake of getting more greens in my diet, but the lettuce just adds to the bulk of the food, so it makes me feel more full. When I see comments where it's like, Sam, why aren't you getting your vegetables in? I'll be real with you. What's in them that I really need? I need proteins, carbs, and fats. I'm making sure I have a reasonably diverse diet, so I'm getting most of my macronutrients from there, or micronutrients from there. Especially if you're eating a solid amount of red meat. Honestly, fucking red meat's especially. That's why everybody loves talking about liver too. Fucking the goddamn multivitamin of the world, or of the natural world per se. But as long as you're eating a solid variety of foods and you're not just a, amalgamation of suburban living, like the guy that only eats microwavable mac and cheese, if you know what video I'm talking about. As long as you're eating a lot of foods, more than likely you're not going to have a specific vitamin deficiency or, electrolyte deficiency. So, take your men's or your women's multivitamin gummy at the end of the day and some fish oil. You're fucking fine, man. I kind of consider the vegetable side of things just like if I want them, I'll have them. They don't really have a massive, you know, effect on the performance per se. But that's not advice. That's kind of just my opinion. Do whatever the hell you want to do. But plan for tomorrow. Back day. Not really sure how I want to go about it. I guess I'll have to find out. But honestly, I might make it a rest day. Yeah. My legs are really fucking wrecked from this past leg day. And honestly, I could tell that I felt a little bit fatigued today on this chest day. Like, it was a good lift. I was pushing myself hard, really pumped. But I could definitely tell my strength had taken kind of a sudden dip. Now, that may just be due to the fact that I'm getting to the point of dieting where I'm really fucking depleted, which is something you're just going to have to accept. If you're the type of guy who is going to bulk or cut, you have to understand and accept that there are drawbacks and benefits of either state. When you're bulked, you get to eat a lot of food. You never have to feel hungry. You're constantly nice and carved up and strong, so your lifts are going to be a bit more. I mean, you can make them a bit more intense, or at least let's just say your potential for actually making good gains, progressive overload growing, has now fucking, I don't know. I mean, it's just as good as it gets. And your recovery is going to be a lot better because you have just a crazy amount of energy to work with. Plus, you're growing muscle, you're getting bigger. That's pretty fucking cool. Honestly, that's my favorite part right there. But the downside, you're going to gain some body fat. You are going to be full of food all the time if you're really bulking hard, which at a point does become a pretty serious chore. And actually, that's pretty much it. Those are the only two downsides. You're going to get a little fatter, and you have to eat a lot of food, which not really that bad. Not really that bad. Definitely worth the positives, in my opinion. Right? That's why I do bulk and cut. And then dieting wise, right? Positives: leaner, cooler looking, veiny, striated. Assuming you are getting that lean, but even if you're not, like if you're like in the 40% body fat range and you're trying to trim down to more like a 20 or a 15, that's still a massive change to how you fucking look. So don't feel too bad if you're not in like the 4% Tristan Lee body fat range. To lose a serious amount of body fat for you specifically, any percentage progress that you make is going to be fucking beneficial and feel cool. So whether you're starting at really fucking high body fat, or maybe you're just a leaner dude who's like, okay, I really want to see what I look like lean. The process of doing it and achieving it, honestly, the dopamine, the subjective enjoyment you're going to get is pretty much the same on every level. So don't feel too bad, right? Progress is progress no matter who you are or where you're starting. So you get to be leaner, you get to walk around with more of an empty stomach, which does make you feel just kind of a bit lighter and more spry. Like, I'm not going to say I'm particularly athletic, even though I can still bust out a crazy flip on the diving board. You're not going to catch me doing any running or anything fucking really high fucking impact and impulse kind of shit. I'm not, you're not going to catch me running. You're not going to see my 40 time anytime soon. Let's just say that. But when I'm dieted, I do feel a little more spry because I don't have fucking pounds of food in my stomach at all times. So, depending on who you are, that's either positive or negative. I personally kind of like it. It's a good contrast from the few months of bulking with a really full, big stomach. And then you don't have to deal with eating so much food, which, if you've ever done a real bulk, is actually a pretty good fucking positive. And depending on how busy your schedule is at periods during the year, you might want to plan when you bulk and when you cut to sort of line up with that. If you're 22 and below and you're in school, depending on how busy you are with that, it may be in your best interest to try to be dieting during the end of your school year or semester so that you have enough time to really focus on all your studying and everything else. I've definitely had bulks where they got derailed because I kept fucking having to stay up, like get jack shit for sleep because I was cramming for finals and stuff like that. So a time like that, it's going to be better off, and you're going to gain the benefits of not having to eat food all the fucking time because then you'll have more free time. But then again, that's also just depending on your fucking schedule, you know. But the downsides of dieting, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be weaker, you are going to be smaller physically. Like as soon as you start dieting, no matter how big or small you are, you're immediately going to drop a couple pounds of just intramuscular water and sugar, which basically it basically just makes you look big and strong. So when that disappears, it kind of sucks. You know, that is something that you're going to have to take into account. But the real issue, and the guys who I think are really missing out, are the ones who can't commit. You know, I'm seeing a lot of posts now where it's like, you know, it's a TikTok sort of slideshow, and it's like, okay, it's May. I haven't started dieting yet. All right, it's June. I haven't started my cut yet. Oh crap, it's July. Summer's almost over. You know, it's never a problem to be too late. You know, I'm kind of getting on a whole tangent now, but if that's you and you're like, oh crap, I meant to cut for this summer, but I didn't actually do it. Oh well, it's too late now. Maybe I'll just cut later in the winter, or I'll wait for wintertime to bulk, or I'll just wait for next summer to cut down. I'll wait until. No, 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 no. You need to pick something ASAP and stick to it. And honestly, I don't really care what it is. Now, I'm talking to the semi-experienced lifter. If you're year 1 to, honestly, if you're sub 2 years working out, it probably isn't really even in your best interest to really try to do a serious bulk. And now this is just kind of speculation. You know, I'm not you. Maybe it is in your best interest. But your first few years of working out, I think honestly you should be mainly concerned with trying to just get better at working out. Get your protein intake in every day. You know, take your multivitamins and your fish oil and your fucking protein powder. If you can't eat enough meats to, you know, hit that gram per pound of body weight per day, right? Get into it. And the fact that you haven't worked out for that long, that's going to give you serious results. I think that main gaining is the perfect approach for the beginner. But after a certain period of time, that main gaining rate of growth, it's going to slow down. And unless you continue to optimize your training, it's going to stall. There are a lot of people who just look the exact same after year 2 of lifting indefinitely because they just don't do what it takes to continue their progression. You know, because as you get more into gains and you're trying to work out more and grow more muscle and just get bigger and stronger, you know, it's like you're trying to dig a fucking hole as deep as you can, right? Those first few years, that's the topsoil. That's nothing, right? You're hitting that with a spade. You're fucking pulling pounds of dirt out of the ground. You're going deep quick. But, you know, you're sitting here, year 1, man, this is fucking easy. I grew 3 pounds this month. Hell yeah. Dude, I just hit 225 for 1. Holy shit, I'm getting fucking big. Kajong. What the? Boom. You just hit fucking bedrock. And that's your first plateau. So that's where you've got to change your approach. And I think that after you've main gained for a while, you're reasonably fucking smart about your training and you know how to train hard. And honestly, I think that's one of the most important things, being able to take your sets fucking hard. You know, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that's a fucking massive indicator whether you're going to grow or you're going to stay the same. It's just how hard you can go, regardless of style or rep schemes. Or should I do high reps with low weight, or should I do low reps with high weight? Honestly, I couldn't care less. If the sets that you're doing are seriously balls to the wall, you're going nuts, people are stopping their workout to watch you just because you're actually pushing yourself to your physical limit, at least for a good portion of your sets. Like, you know, some of those pec fly sets, I wasn't near death or anything, But, those sets of incline bench, I was trying to do as many reps as I was physically capable of doing. Same thing with the cable press and stuff. So once you've gotten to a point where you're training well, you're hitting your protein, you're starting to learn a bit about macros. You may not be totally into tracking everything, but you've made your new big gains, per se, main gain for a while, and you're kind of plateaued. You're at the same level of strength, size, leanness, everything. Something has to change. And the question of, okay, well, should I bulk or should I cut? Honestly, do whatever. Do whatever. For the beginner, I might probably lean towards telling you to bulk, just because you still have your sensitivity to muscular development in a way, because you haven't lifted for too long. So a bulk may be a bit more necessary. But let's say you've got a considerable amount of body fat that you want to get off after those first few years of main gaining, then yeah, man, do a cut. Try to lower your calorie intake to 2,000, keep it flat there, whatever number you have to do to lose body fat. Do that for 2 months, 3 months, get as lean as you want to be, and then start a bulk from there. But in either case, if you want to start with a 2-month dieting phase or a 4-month bulking phase or whatever, that seems like you have two options, right? That seems like, okay, I can choose to either start bulking up or start cutting down. Okay, well, I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I'll keep thinking about it. You know what that is? That is the third option. That is the sneaky option, which is the absolute worst one to pick. And unfortunately, it's the one that gets picked the most. It's indecisiveness. Because if you can't lock yourself into at least starting to bulk up and try to actually put on substantial lean tissue so that you can diet down and then pretty much reap the rewards of that growing season, in a sense. If you can't do that, or if you can't diet down and set yourself up for another bulk later on, to sit there in that middle portion in a plateaued state, like if you're still growing from main gaining, then keep doing it. Keep doing it. It's clearly working. There's no need to put on excess body fat if you're already growing, right? But if your main gaining is only enough to maintain your size and your strength, and you're not really making any substantial progress, even in as short as like a 1 month period, if you've made no differences this month, what makes you think that the same training routine is suddenly going to start working the next month, or the month after that, or the month after that? So if you know you're plateaued, and if you are, you should know, because it should be kind of upsetting. If you've gone from a few years of working out where you're making serious progress every few weeks, you can tell, like, you got a new vein, or like, oh, this workout was crazy good. Like, holy crap, I got a fucking stretch mark on my chest. Dude, I got crazy pumped yesterday. If you know that those little, basically, tears in your training have suddenly ceased, then that should irk you. That should fucking make you say, okay, I need to change something. Because you really do. So that's where I say, if you've been main gaining for a while, or if you're on the fence of bulking or cutting, go up to one of your buddies who works out, ask him like, hey, answer this right now. Should I bulk or cut? Whatever he says, just do it. Or just pick one. Because if you stay main gained and just plateaued, and you're not growing, and you're not fucking, or you're relying on like, okay, well, it's already midsummer, I don't want to start dieting now because then I won't be lean at the end of the summer. I want to be big. And that guy is so much more concerned with his current state of being that he's losing sight of the fact that he should be focusing on where he's going to be in 6 months or a year or in 2 years or in however many years. If you're too concerned about how you look at this current moment, then you're never going to make any progress. So that's my little shtick there. The last thing you want to do is be the guy who just stays the same in the gym. And I've seen it. I've gone to the same gym for years. I mean, like 5+ years. And I know the guys who look the exact same right now as they did when I started working out. And it may not be their goal to fucking get crazy big. Don't forget, working out is just something everybody should do in general. You don't have to be a complete freak about it. Being active and getting some weight training, even if it's not training like a total freak, it is just physically good for you, and I think everyone should be doing it. But the guys who want to make working out their thing, and they know that they want to make some consistent progress year after year, for years, then you got to put some more effort into this. And you should want to also. I shouldn't be the guy to have to tell you this. You should know it yourself and be looking for different pathways to break yourself out of whatever current habits you're in, which are keeping you where you are at this very moment. But again, I'm not your dad. You are in charge of your own gains. So you got to take your own actions and make your own decisions and keep up your own discipline and motivation and this, that, and the other to get freakier and freakier pumps as you go down this journey that we call the gym. But plan now is to go eat. I'm insanely hungry, mainly thirsty though. I didn't bring a water bottle again today like an idiot. I never drink enough water when I just go to the water fountain in between sets. Honestly, yeah, I'm a total fool for that. I gotta start bringing my jug. But cardio in the morning, I know I'm doing it. Back tomorrow, still 2,500 calories or so, but time is ticking. I was looking at some older videos, even just like from 3 weeks ago. This chest day was substantially leaner than that. So I think another week, that'll be it. That will be it. And then I'll probably, I don't know. I don't want to do, the first few days I'll probably do a big carb up. But then I'm going to get back into a stable, probably 4,000 or so calorie intake and just increase it from there. So whenever that is, if that's you, if you're on the fritz about bulking or dieting down, that might be the perfect thing for you to do. Just wait a couple days until I start bulking. Then we can do it together. We can do a little bit of we can do a weight comparison, see who can gain the most weight over these next like 5 or 6 months. I know I'm going to have a pretty big fucking change, so maybe we'll see how we compare. But that's all I got, man. Solid ass lift. I'll see you tomorrow.